Well, I think to kick it off, I like to have you just lay out context for everybody. So, if you don't mind, Jenny, could you just introduce yourself? Kind of who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? What's your life look like?
I'm Ginny Cunningham. I'm from Northern Illinois. I have been in the field of education for 21 years this year. I started as a teacher, a special ed teacher, and worked my way through the process of becoming an administrator. And now I am the special ed administrator for my local school district.
Awesome.
And so I have two kids who are 17 and 19. And I have always put them and my husband before myself. And so now that I am close to being an empty nester, I decided that I should maybe invest a little bit more in myself and nutrition and exercise and getting myself in better shape to enjoy the next portion of my life.
And talk to me about where you were at before we met. Like, one, two, three sentences about like, hey, I was here, and that's what really led to you and I having a conversation and you even being interested in this. Like, where were you actually at that point in time?
Um, so I, gosh. Putting myself last is where I've always been at. And it's been hard for me to not be the caretaker of everyone else. I'm my youngest child, so I have that inherent being a caretaker. And so my husband got involved with some coaching and it was working well for him. And I was very adverse to it at the beginning. I figured I can get on to Apple Health and do the same thing for however much that was. And I needed accountability. I've never been good at accountability. And I could read everything and figure out what I'm supposed to be doing, but without somebody kind of needling me along and being there to answer those questions, I fall off the rails pretty quickly. And so the not having a schedule and not having that this is what you need to do as far as a checklist was really hard for me. And working with you has helped me establish that, like, I don't want to let you down, but I don't want to let myself down either now because I have really figured out what the benefits are of better nutrition and exercise are.
And I remember the first time we chatted too, Jenny. I asked you. I remember our conversation pretty clearly because I remember asking you, like honestly, like pretty, deep or personal question, which was just, Jenny, when was the last time you actually did something for you, right? And like really put Jenny first. And I remember asking you that. And if you don't mind sharing, I mean, could you kind of share the thought process or like the state of mind you were in that made you finally say, hey, enough is enough. It truly is time to prioritize Jenny and invest in me.
Yes, so I've never really put myself first. I have waited. My husband is a pretty high level executive for an aerospace company. I have two kids. I've always worked full time. And so it's been hard to prioritize me. I've always wanted to make sure everything's good for my family. As I said, I was the youngest child by a long ways. I grew up with a very ill father, and so he was always put first too. And not that that's what he required, not that's not what he requested, but that's just how you do it. And so that has carried along with me into my adult life and being married with kids. And I got to a point where I think I had that realization that if I don't start doing something for myself to make me healthier, then the next 30, 40 years of my life are not going to be um, the right thing for me. I look at having at some point probably having grandchildren, and I don't think either of my kids will live in Northern Illinois near me, so I want to be able to travel to where they are and without without making a plan to prioritize my own health and well-being, I could see the trajectory I was going was not a great place. Um, and I've struggled with depression and anxiety since I had my second child. And when I found now that I'm working with you, I don't have those struggles nearly as much because I have that peace for me and I'm not just focused on what everybody else needs. I understand that I need some things too.
Yeah. Well, and I have to imagine when you got to the point where you were open to a process like this and ready to reprioritize yourself and put something in place, I have to imagine there were some amount of like doubts or fears that kicked in with potentially adopting something new. I mean, what did that look like for you? Like, what were some of the things, maybe doubts, fears, concerns that you had as you just started to go through this process and really get close to actually finally pulling the trigger on something and making that adjustment for yourself?
Yeah, doubts that I wouldn't be able to do it, that I wouldn't be able to follow through, um, and really fears of the same, but mostly guilt of putting myself first and not worrying about like, all right, I'm going to go down to the basement and do my workout. You guys can figure it out. And it has gotten progressively easier, especially my kids are older and my daughter's in and out all summer and but it has been kind of a guilt process of putting myself first and actually thinking of what I need to do better for me.
Mhm. Well, I think you're sharing something and you have like an experience that a lot of people have or like a mindset that a lot of people have, which is this idea that, if I do prioritize myself, right, if I do invest in myself, not just like financially, but also with my time as well, it's almost this mindset that if I do it for me, I'm taking away from maybe my kids or my spouse or my loved
Hmm.
one. And I would love to hear your perspective on this now, like on the other side of it, because I think what tends to happen is people feel that way and then they go through it and they realize that actually by putting myself first and by investing in me, I actually show up better for all those people. But I mean, I would love to hear what your
Hmm.
perspective is now on the other side of it. Do you feel like you've had that perspective shift, or what does that look like for you? And maybe how has it maybe positively impacted everybody around you?
Yeah, I do feel like I have had that perspective shift of if I do something for myself, then I am my better self for the people around me. And on, times that I'm not feeling well or I miss a workout or something like that, which hasn't been very often, I feel like I'm not I'm not my best for people around me. Um, so that has been a really interesting shift because at first it was like, well, I'm going to go do this for myself and I'm sorry, but I'm going to walk away. And that's how it's been since my kids were little. Like, oh, I can't go do this. But I would say to myself, like, I just need 20 minutes or whatever. But we need this, but we need this. And so I would put myself behind. And now that I've really get something out of the eating better or nutrition or finding a restaurant that I can not just, get junk food and really do a good job of taking care of myself. I feel a lot better taking care of everyone else. And, this morning I even said to my husband, all right, I'm going to get up, I'm going to drink my cup of coffee, I'm going to read my pages of my book, and then I'm going to go work out. And it just gives me energy to keep going with the rest of the day. And it helps me feel happier, really.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I'm happy for you, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, Jenny, you do still have to be willing to do it, and I think actually one of the easier parts of this process is signing up for it. Like, I actually think that's one of the
Hmm.
easier parts because then you get
For
into the
sure.
real and the execution. And I know one thing that's big for you, even from the moment that we first met, was, hey, like I do need that accountability. I do need somebody there to hold me to it. Uh,
Mhm.
but I know you've had that in the past. So I guess what is the difference in this accountability, maybe compared to accountability that you've had before?
I would say this accountability. So, in my past experience, I tried doing coaching once before with a different organization, and my husband was doing coaching with the same coach. And that person. I think the coach was a great person. I think she knows exactly what she's doing, but it ended up being more focused on how I could support my husband, and it wasn't
Yeah.
about me. And not to sound selfish, but it was like, well, I'm paying all this money and I'm looking for this guidance. I want it to be about me. Like, I love my husband to death, but I don't really want to talk about him right now.
Yeah.
Like this is about me, and can we focus this one conversation this week? And so working with you has just given me an outlet too of you have, you've seen a couple pictures of my family, but you don't have a relationship with my family. And yes, you ask things about them, but everything's focused on me and what I need and what's best for me. And, even last week when I said I wasn't feeling well and wanted to reschedule a call, you gave me that it's okay, reassurance of it's okay, and then followed up with a message in the app that, hey, if you're not feeling good, I probably wouldn't do today's workout. And if you're still not there on Monday, it's okay to skip that one too. And that was super helpful for me that, oh, it's okay. Like, it's okay for me to rest and take care of myself. And then when I'm up for it, then I'll start again. And it, wasn't that, well, what can you be doing for somebody else?
Right. Well, and I think part of what you're speaking to here is just making sure that this is practical and adapting to your life in real time. I mean,
Hmm.
it's one of the things that, as much as it would be really easy for me if this was set it and forget it, good luck, Ginny. Obviously, obviously that's
Right.
not going to yield the best results. And uh, how do you feel about this from a sustainability perspective? Like the stuff that you've learned here, kind of the system that we've built. I mean, does it feel like something for you that is truly something you can stick to for the long haul and really continue to manage nutrition and training and things like that in a sustainable fashion for you?
Yeah, I think I can. And I can't remember how many weeks we've been together now, maybe 10-ish. Um, but at the beginning, and I know I shared at the beginning too that I'm kind of a garbage belly as far as eating and um, not always making the best choices. But this has really shifted my mindset on the importance of protein. And when I look at a menu, when I would go out before, even when we first started working together, it was like, all right, we're going out to eat. I'm going to get whatever I want because, no calories don't count on Saturday night. And the more that I worked with you and have seen changes in my body and changes in just my overall feeling. We went out to dinner on Saturday night and I got something very meat and vegetable based that was protein, and I felt 10 times better than I normally do. And so it has given me just a different way of looking at a menu or looking at the things that we make at home too. And knowing that maybe I don't, as far as sustainability with working out, I still don't really love to work out, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
And I know that I send you some things like Romanian split squats are horrible or things like that. And
Yeah.
you deal with my candor about those things, but if I don't get up in the morning at 5:30 to do it, I know that at some point I'm going to get it done throughout the day, or I'm off for a month from work right now, but I was coming home from work in May and all right, I didn't do it this morning. I'm going to do it when I get home.
Mhm.
And it just really, I don't know, the app and how easily I can talk to you and how real you are about things is very helpful for me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And again, I appreciate you being willing to execute, right? I think, again, a big part of this is you have to come in here and you do have to be willing to do the work. I say quite frequently when I meet new people, this is one of the few industries where there is no done for you. I can build everything for you, but you do have to
Hmm.
show up and work out. You do have to be willing to log. You do have to be in a spot where you can commit to the effort that it requires to sustain this change. And I
Yeah.
know you kind of came into this, Ginny, where you didn't necessarily have like an explicit, hey, I want to lose XYZ pounds or anything like that. So I would love to hear, like sitting in the seat you're sitting in now, like what would you categorize as your big wins up to this point in the process working together?
I would say my big wins are understanding better the importance of protein,
Mhm.
um, actually eating healthier. And like I said before, I'm kind of a garbage belly, so it's been helpful that you understand that if I want to put chocolate chips on my yogurt once in a while, that's okay. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And yesterday was a huge win that I hadn't put like real pants on for, I don't know, 3 weeks because I'm not actually going to work right now. And I went to work for a few hours yesterday and put a pair of jeans on and they were too big. So that was exciting. I've lost a few pounds. I've lost like 6 pounds, 7 pounds, I think, but it's more tone, how much more I've um, toned up and not, I sent you a message one time, Joey, I'm wearing shorts out in public. This is not something that
Yeah.
happens. And
Yeah.
so, my husband and I went out this weekend and I wore a dress one day that was shorter and wore a shorter skirt one day. And just having a big win is just being proud of myself and more self-confident in how I look too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, I'm happy for you. And I mean, Ginny, at the end of the day, I've said it 3 or 4 times just in this conversation. Like you've earned it. You could very well come into this process and, throw your phone in a lake and not reply to me and not do any of the stuff and it wouldn't work. And so I appreciate you being willing to execute and, receiving coaching, receiving accountability and being open to feedback. And I think one thing that you've done a really good job of is you've kind of come into this process and you've avoided, getting cute. One of the things I have in onboarding is, don't get cute, where sometimes people will like to take some of the stuff they've done and some of this stuff and try to do this concoction of things. And I'm like, well, actually, like if you really want to change the results, we have to change what we've been doing up to this point. We have to be willing to say, hey, like I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And you've had a really good mindset with that, and really good character around the idea of, hey, like I am going to receive this coaching, I am going to receive this accountability, and just truly
Mhm.
execute. Done that really well. So I appreciate that, and it makes my job easier, and it makes your result.
Thanks.
So, and also I appreciate you
Well,
being able to do this.
it clearly, if I knew how to do it, I wouldn't need you. So,
Jesus. This is a fair point.
like
Yeah.
if I've subscribed to like Apple Health and this and that, and yeah, it's there, it's sitting on my phone, but it's not Joey that's like, hey, how you feeling today? Did you do this today? Did you add more weight? Did you do? And you're very kind about the process of accountability, but it's still that accountability too.
Totally.
And just the ability to be able to talk with you on the app, I think is huge for me because people are busy and you don't always have an hour to sit down on a phone call and I think email sometimes gets clunky and all that and you are there and available and I can ask you any question and I can be a smart mouth about it and it's you appreciate dealing with it and I know I've probably said to you I don't feel like doing this today or I said to my husband yesterday could you go down and work out for me?
Yeah,
He's
that's a
like, well, I
classic one. Yeah,
can, but I don't think it counts.
totally. Totally.
But
Well,
that's been really
yeah,
just
good. Well,
helpful that
yeah, and I was gonna say, like, Jenny, if there's somebody listening to this who's maybe been in your shoes before, right, where maybe they felt that. I think really at the core, like I think there was a long period of time there where you kind of felt that guilt of I can't put myself first and I can't prioritize this and I can't make time for me because it feels like I'm taking from the people that, I love and care for and provide for. I think there's a lot of people who
mhm.
sit in that spot where maybe you were at mentally when we first met. I mean, if there's somebody listening to this who resonates with that and they kind of feel that weight of putting themselves first. I mean, what would you say to that person who's maybe on the fence about finally, drawing the line in the sand and saying it's time to prioritize me and put me first? I mean, what would you say to that person?
I would tell them it's okay. And you don't realize how much better you are for yourself and those around you if you don't put something of yourself first. And, going back to, don't want to bring up COVID, but going back to COVID, I learned that I loved to read. And so that was something that I started doing for myself. And I appreciated it and started thinking, hey, I can sit here by myself for an hour with nobody bothering me and read a book. And so then the more I thought about my mental health and physical health and all of that, it was like, this is the same thing. I need to think about what I can be doing better for myself that actually helps me be better for all those people around me.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And Jenny, again, like I really appreciate you being willing to do this, right? Because I think at the end of the day, there's going to be probably somebody who hears this and it inspires them to take action, whether it's, with me or somewhere else, to just get the help that they need. And again, finally draw the line in the sand and prioritize them so they can show up as the best version of themselves for all the people around them that depend on them, right? And so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's who your story speaks to. And again, I appreciate you being brave and courageous and willing to do something like this.
Sure, sure.